On this week's episode, we tell some chronic illness funny stories.
They may not be funny to you, but to us, they're hilarious.
So stick around.
Hi, and welcome to Rare with Flair,
The podcast where two 20-somethings with the same rare disease are living our best lives. I'm your host, Casey.
and I'm your host, Cassandra.
Oh, Cass, how you doing, my friend? How you doing?
I am doing okay. It's getting really warm here, and it was so nice to take a walk this weekend. It felt incredible. I'm so excited for the spring, more than I've ever been.
You know what's funny is when I was thinking about what I was going to talk about with you on this little opening section, I was like, I'm going to talk about the fact that Cass and I are not really winter girls. And that it's a kind of a struggle, low-key, like speaking for myself, February and March are kind of a struggle. And even January a little bit too. And I am so ready for the spring. I'm so ready for like Easter season and like flowers blooming and warm weather and walks and picnics and farmers markets and all of the things.
Oh, farmers markets. I think our farmers market is still going on, but it's indoors and kind of out of the way now. But I can't wait to go to it outside.
You know what? Straw hat weather is what I like to call that time of year. Like, I want to wear a straw hat with a sundress. That's all I want right now.
Ooh,
like,
girl, I have that outfit, and I
me
want
too.
to wear it now. I will say, I'm wearing a t-shirt with a jacket on, but I'm wearing a t-shirt, and I felt so excited to wear a t-shirt.
That's great. It got warm here too for us, but now it's just been monsoon rain outside all day today.
I know.
So now the weather is dropping. So again,
It was fall, spring, but it gives us hope that there will be warmth in the future.
Yes.
And I'm excited.
Me too. I'm so excited. And also, we do want to say really quick before we jump into the app.
Yes.
Yes, you know what I'm going to say.
Yes.
Thank you all so much to those who donated to our HPS fundraiser. As we're recording this, it's still not over yet, but when this episode releases, it will have ended the day before, which was February 28th, which is Rare Disease Day. We hit our goal already. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
yes.
We really, really appreciate your generosity for those who donated. It'll really be helpful for the HPS network, and like they're doing some really big things right now, and so be rest assured that your money is going to good use, and it is going to make a big difference in the lives of people with Hermansky-Pudlak syndrome. So thank you.
Absolutely. And if you ever want to give to the HPS network, we don't have to have a fundraiser going on for you to do it. You could always visit hps.org and donate if you feel like you would like to do that. But thank you all so much for giving. We always try to do a fundraiser around this time of year. We did one last year. And so it's just a really good time to give back and to help support our network that is searching for a cure for our rare disease. Speaking of rare diseases, Cass.
Oh boy, we have a really funny episode for you guys today.
We don't know if funny is the word.
We will laugh a lot though.
We will laugh. We're going to be telling awkward, funny, silly, wild, chronic illness stories. We talk about chronic illnesses sometimes on this podcast because along with our visual impairment comes some other health issues. If you want to know more about that, episode 6. We also did a What's in Our Bag, our What's in Our Bag chronic illness edition, which I think was like in the teens maybe of episode.
I think it was a year ago, like it was last February.
Yeah, it was. You're right. It was. So, anyway, yeah, like, so, Cass, what do you have to say about this? Are you nervous?
Well, I will say, okay, so to give a very brief background, right, so that these stories make sense. Case and I have a bleeding disorder, so we bleed a lot more easily than the average person if we get cut or, we bruise easily as part of Hermansky-Pudlak syndrome. And then I have had irritable, I never remember the first letter, inflammatory bowel disease. I've had Crohn's disease for almost 10 years, which is a long time, and I can't believe it's been that long. But I got my colon removed when I was 18, and I've had an ostomy bag ever since, and it lives on me, and that will become relevant later in this episode, but I had to explain for those that are new here.
No, absolutely. Thank you for explaining that. I also have some other unrelated health conditions like Hashimoto's disease, fibromyalgia, other things like that. And so we have a lot of health stuff going on. And I know a lot of our listeners are specifically visually impaired people. And so some of you might not have other health things going on. So some of you might not relate. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of visual impairments come along with some other health issues. Some, not all of them, but sometimes like us.
Yeah.
We have Hermansky-Pudlak syndrome that comes along with a lot of other things. So
yeah, when it rains, it pours.
These stories are kind of to give you a little bit of an insight into our lives of chronic illness people. Like sometimes when these things happen, one of the silver linings of looking at it is, oh, it's a really juicy story to tell on the podcast, you know, like, and it makes good content. It's going to be TMI. I'm actually a little bit nervous to tell these. Like, they're very personal. And actually, Cass, I don't think you know this, but one time I made a YouTube video with some of these stories in it, and I actually ended up deleting it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. Not really because I was like embarrassed, but it just made me feel a little bit vulnerable to have these stories out there. But I'm going to tell them again, some of them again. I think not only did it make me feel vulnerable, but some of these could be a little bit considered graphic. So we wanted to give a disclaimer. If you are funny about bleeding, about any kind of stomach, blood, poop, I don't know. We're getting there. Yeah. We're going there. TMI. We're going there. And so if you're like eating while listening to this, maybe not a good idea. We're not going to be too gross, and we will give you warnings before each story. Like we could say like this story includes bleeding. You know, we'll give you a warning. And we're going to try to, you know, not be too graphic about it, but it just like it's part of health. It's part of the body. It's part of how our bodies work. And like you're getting into the TMI with us today. So yeah.
Besides, like, if chronic illness or any sort of illness is a little bit foreign to you, I mean, some people just like are really healthy, and we're happy for you. But like, we're telling these stories not only because they're funny, but also they're funny to us. But it's just like life happens, man. Like sometimes things are really weird or awkward or just like very unexpected with your body, and like it makes for a really funny story. One of my favorite bands, AJR, has this song called 100 Bad Days, and like the premise of the whole song is like 100 bad days makes 100 good stories, and 100 good stories makes me very interesting at parties. So
yes, heck yes. And I love that. Like, we're not trying to be gross, we're just trying to be real, and health and the body is real, and it's nothing to be ashamed about or grossed out by. Like, and I get it if some people are kind of woozy around these topics, like I totally get that, but at the same time, you know, this isn't like trying to be gross and out there. Like, this is our lives, and like, you know, it's gonna be a deep ep here, but
we'll start off slow and ease our way in.
Yeah, I think we could do that. Do you want to go first?
Okay, so I've got a couple. Just like these are really small snippets of stories that I was a wild child. I've mentioned this in other episodes before. Casey was a cautious kid, and I was a wild child, and I would run around, and I had very little, like, I don't know, fear, and I wasn't really afraid to do too much. So one time I was, I think I was like 3. I have been told this story, and so one thing in my parents' house, they have a lot of like, we used to get like staged family portraits every year. And there's this photo that my mom pointed out to me one time, and she said, yes, this photo involved effort, because a day or two before that photo was taken, I was running around outside, and I tripped and I smacked my head. And I had a massive bruise on my forehead. And it's so well done because she like ended up covering it up with makeup and I had like curtain bangs, like they were like pretty low over my forehead. You cannot tell that I have just a massive welt on my forehead.
I love that. How old were you again? Did you say that?
I think I was like 3 or 4.
3 or 4. You're getting professional makeup done by your mother to cover up your goose egg.
And then the other thing that happened when I was a kid that was really funny is, so Casey and I have mentioned, it was a while ago, we both wear medic alert bracelets just in case, like wherever in some sort of God forbid horrifying accident, that like people need to know that we have a bleeding disorder or that we're legally blind or any of those things. So I've had one since I was really little, and there was one time where, you know, running around doing wild stuff, I fell, and it's like a small chain with an oval medallion. The little medallion was like on the bottom of the palm of my hand. So when I fell and I braced myself with my hands, I literally cut myself with my own medical alert bracelet. No.
The irony. No
so
way.
Ironic. Yeah.
That's so funny. I love those. Not many of my stories are from my childhood. Actually, I don't know if any of them are, to be honest. But those are pretty good. I like that you did start off light. You know, those were not disturbing or anything. We're going to get there. Don't worry. We're going to get there.
Oh, we will.
My first one is not disturbing either. We will give you guys the disclaimers if we're going to talk about that kind of stuff. My first one. Okay. And like I said, I think I've told all of these possibly on the internet at some point. I even thinking back, I wrote some of these downcast. I think I may have told some of them on our chronic illness episode, like at the end when we were like going back and forth sharing some funny like hospital stories. I'm almost positive I already told these. But here's the thing. This is episode 40?
Yeah.
And that was episode 6. So like, first of all, some of you might not have heard it. Also, secondly, I'm going to add more details into these and not be as quick with them. But okay.
Go for it.
So this one, I'm sorry if you've already heard it, but it's kind of funny to me. I was at the hospital for some testing when I was probably 13, and I don't even remember what it was for now, but all I remember is I was either getting like an MRI or blood taken. It was something like really simple, like a simple test that day. And I was sitting in the room, and this man comes in, and I was with my mom, and this man comes in and he's like, "Hey, I'm your anesthesiologist. I'm going to walk you through what I'm about to do." Have I told you this?
No, so, I don't recognize it now.
So he's like, "I'm your anesthesiologist. I'm going to walk you through, like, putting you to sleep. This is what's going to happen." And I was like, "Wait, putting me to sleep? Like, wait, I'm not here for that." And my mom was like, "Casey, let the man talk." Like, she was like getting on to me for like questioning it. She was like, "Casey, like, let him finish." And I'm like, "Mom, I'm not here for anesthesia." And he like kept going. And then this nurse runs in the room, starts yelling at the man, "Get out of here! Get out of here!" And the man runs out of the room, and she goes, "Sorry, he does this all the time."
What?
I promise this happened. I promise. So basically, I was about to be put to sleep. And
wait, was he a real anesthesiologist, and was he trying to freak you out?
I think he was. I don't know, actually. I think he was real, but he like got room numbers wrong a lot. She said he does this a lot. I am too. And it was so long ago that I don't even remember all the details, but my mom can vouch for me that this really did happen. And it's like one of the funniest stories I have from my medical.
How has this man not been like sued?
My favorite part is that my mom was like, "Casey, let him talk." Because, like, I literally still joke with her to this day that I was like, "Mom, I was trying to, like, say it was wrong." And she was like, "Casey, like, they know what they're doing.
Casey, take the drugs. It'll be fine.
Let him put the, like, IV in." Like, no.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, so.
Okay.
That happened.
Okay, so this is a bleeding story. And this also happened when I was like 12 or 13.
Okay, bleeding story. Disclaimer.
I was in 7th grade, and there was like this pool party at the end of the year. And in the moment, this was a really embarrassing moment, especially for like a 13-year-old. But looking back on it now, it feels like something that would have happened in like a sitcom.
Okay, perfect.
So like, I took a lot of swimming lessons as a kid, and again, like, I didn't have a lot of, like, fear in my life.
Yes.
So I would jump off the high dive. Like, I was a diving board kid. Like, I loved the adrenaline rush. It was so fun. So it was like a community pool with kids that, frankly, I didn't really like, but I didn't want them to hate me. So there was like a really small diving board. It was at the level of the ground. And I was like, oh yeah, this will be fun. And like, there was like the girl that went before me was like a legit gymnast, and she just like did some cool stuff off of it. And I was like, I'm just gonna jump off. It was a lot slidier than I had ever anticipated. And as I was about to like jump off, I slid and I hit my crotch on the edge of the board and scraped my knee and just like collapsed into the pool really embarrassingly. And I was like, oh boy, oh my gosh, like that was humiliating. I hope no one actually saw that. And I kind of stayed in there to like wait till the embarrassment faded. And then I was like, I don't know if I actually still want to be here, whatever. And as I get out of the pool and I went to go look for my mom, I was like, yeah, hey mom. And like, I had no idea that there was so much blood dripping out of my knee.
No.
And she was just like, come here. And she like wrapped me in a towel and she's like, hold your knee. And we're going to walk to the car. And we're like shimmying away.
No. Wait. Was the blood, did you get blood in the pool? I need to know. I mean, I'm sure you did. No?
Well, not really.
Because it wasn't really bleeding because it was in the water.
Because it was in the water.
Yes.
And the chlorine was kind of like holding it together. So like,
look at that.
I know, right? That was a fun science lesson.
But the second you get out, it's just like flooding. Oh no.
I was like, oh my God. And so I left as soon as I came, and it was not great, but it was really funny.
All your daring stories as a child, I think you had many more injuries than I did.
Oh, so many.
I really can't think of many. I've never broken a bone. Like, I was cautious.
I didn't break a bone, but I did fracture my toe.
Okay, well, that's still something. I sound boring when I say I was cautious. You know what's funny is like I was a daredevil in the sense that like I rode every roller coaster as a child. Like I was like that kid. Like me and my dad like went in a cave together. My sister was too scared. Like I would do things like that, but I wasn't daring with like physical activities like jumping or stuff like that. That's when I was cautious.
Nah, that's probably for the best. I definitely.
Yeah. Well, yes. Okay, now we're going to get a little more, like, personal, I guess. So, this one includes vomit. I'm not going to be, like, super graphic about it, though, so I don't think it's, like, super gross even if you don't like vomit. I don't think it's that gross. Okay, so, I have interstitial cystitis, which means my bladder is very sensitive, and I have to go to the bathroom all the time. This is getting personal. Here we are. Anyway. I had an ovarian cyst rupture when I was like a teenager a few times, which is another health thing. And it's unrelated to the bladder stuff, but it happened to me. So I had to get an ultrasound. If you know anything about ultrasounds, you know that you have to drink a lot of water and fill up your bladder absolutely completely until you're about to die. And then they push on it with the machine. Have you ever had one done?
No, but I've had to drink a bunch of contrast for like MRIs where I've actually thrown up because it was not good.
It's awful. So I drank all the water. I'm like dying to go to the bathroom and I'm in the waiting room. They haven't even called me back yet. I'm already like dying to go. And like because of my interstitial cystitis, I'm like more sensitive to that. I really had to go. They call me back. I'm already like, I really got to go. Then this lady starts, like puts all the gel on you or whatever, and she starts pushing down with the ultrasound thing on my stomach, and I'm like, I keep telling her, I'm like, I'm very uncomfortable right now. Like this is very painful. I really have to go. And she was really, really rude. Like she was like, okay, like, I mean, like, here's the thing. I know it's uncomfortable for everybody, right? It is. But like, I think she thought I was being dramatic when she didn't realize I actually have like a medical issue that makes it worse for me than the average person. So she was writing me off. She was rolling her eyes. Like she literally was like straight up being rude. She was like, okay, well, like, give me a minute. Like, we can't stop now or whatever. And I was like, I really, like, I can't take this. This is really uncomfortable. I'm about to go to the bathroom. And she was like, okay, like, and she kept just like writing me off. Like, okay, well, I can't stop or whatever. And so finally, I'm like, I'm gonna throw up. Like, and I know this in my head. And, you know, as an adult, it's like, usually adults can get to the bathroom in time, but I'm laying on a table, my pants are down, I have like the gel on me and everything. And I like tell the lady, I was like, I think I'm gonna be sick. And she's like, okay, well, like, give me a minute. And like, I start to sit up because I'm gonna be sick. And basically I didn't get away in time, and I basically threw up on this mean woman. Like, not really on her, but like I turned toward her to get off of the table and threw up right there on the floor, and it probably got on her shoes. And me and my mom still laugh at that because I'm like, maybe she kind of deserved it, because I was warning her many times that I was not okay, and she clearly did not care or listen. So she gets what she gets. I'm sorry that I threw up on you, woman, that was rude to me at the ultrasound. But
yes. Okay. Actually,
yes.
That reminds me of a recent story. Okay. I don't have the same condition that Casey has that makes her like have to pee more often, but I do drink a lot of water, and I do have to pee a lot. I'm now even on a med that makes me have to pee even more, but that's beside the point. This is a very recent story, so it feels more vulnerable. But this was last August. You know this story because I told you after it happened.
Okay, I think I do, but go on.
So I was working in the office, and some of my coworkers invited me to go to a happy hour at like a bar afterward, and I was already planning to leave fairly early because I wanted to like go to the climbing gym, and I had like a ride scheduled to go there, and I can't really change that, you know, too short in advance, whatever. So I had one beer. I lost track of time. I was like making small talk with lots of people, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I have to leave. The bus is gonna come soon. And I had to pee since I left the office. But, you know, I didn't really get a chance to go, and because I was going to miss the bus, I was like, well, I'm just going to try and go and make it. And I get on the bus, and there's this, like, very strange person on the bus, you know, bus people. And they were just like, I don't know, they got off on the same, they were making small talk with me, and they got off on the same stop as I did. And I, like, was super uncomfortable, and I didn't want them to know where I lived. So instead of stopping at the pharmacy on the corner to go to the bathroom, I just decided to continue to try to walk home, which is a 15-minute walk.
Oh, no.
So I'm, like, clenching as hard as possible. And I'm, like, just a couple blocks away. I got really far. I'm trying to distract my brain with literally anything. I was singing the Hamilton theme.
Yes,
and
of course.
To distract, because like all those words are great distraction. Yup.
Yes.
But as soon as I mentally finished the Hamilton theme, I totally just peed my pants.
No.
All on the sidewalk.
Oh my gosh.
And I was so close to home.
That's the worst part, is you were so close to home.
Well,
oh my god.
The good thing is, like, what I was wearing was actually super easy to clean, but I was like, wow, well, that was super fun, and I, like, ran inside, and I did damage control, and I still was able to eat and go to the gym on time.
Okay, well, I'm glad it didn't end terribly. I mean, I guess there are worse places to be in public. Listen, I could fill a whole episode with those kind of stories as well. I won't, but, like, we both have been there. If anybody listening has been there, you relate. If anybody listening has not been there, you're like, wow, you guys are strange, but
yeah, right.
You know, that's okay. We can't help our issues, okay? Our bodies are sensitive. But no, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. My next one. I'm going to save my most disturbing for last. Are you going to do that? Do you have like
that's what I'm my magnum opus, so to speak, of chronic illness stories is at the end.
Okay, perfect. I have two more. Okay, so this one I think I have told briefly on the pod. I definitely have mentioned it briefly on the pod, but I'm going to tell like the full longer version here right now. So my mom and it's always my mom and I have a dad. He just doesn't travel with me as much. I do, and I love my dad. I feel bad for saying my mom.
Okay, no, Alan Greer, we do not deserve Alan Greer.
We don't deserve him. I love my dad. I feel like my mom just like takes me more places in the car and things like that. So anyway. Yeah. My mom and I were at the HPS conference together. Hey-o, shout out. Hey. And it takes place in Long Island, New York. We were coming home to Memphis on a plane. We had a connecting flight in Detroit, Michigan. Yes. So we had a connecting flight in Detroit. We got to Detroit for our connecting flight, and it was canceled. We had to stay the night in Detroit. Okay, whatever. Also, our luggage was gone. Our luggage had already gone to Memphis, so we had nothing. We had no meds, no clothes. We just had what was on our back. So we go to this hotel in Detroit. It was not a great hotel, by the way. I mean, not that that really matters, but I'm trying to set the scene, okay?
Yeah, I'm here with you in this crappy hotel.
I get really, really sick. Like, really sick with a stomach bug, like vomiting every 10 minutes. So we're like, okay, we can't even get on our next flight because I'm quite literally am throwing up, and we can't just get on a flight like that. So we had to cancel that flight. We had to reschedule another flight. So it's been like a few days. We have no new clothes or fresh clothes or anything. And we're ready to get home. We're in Detroit. It's time to get home. I'm feeling badly, but I have stopped throwing up at this point. So we get there, we get on our flight finally, and this is the part of the story I've told before, but I think the build-up helps you be in the moment. Yes. We're walking onto the plane, we're in the aisle of the plane, and I say to my mom, I'm going down. I'm passing out right here, right here. So I pass out in the aisle of the airplane, and they, like, my mom and, like, a stewardess on the airplane, like, pick me up and, like, set me down in the nearest chair, which just happens to be first class. And they like give me a cup of water and I think a banana, actually, like the flight attendant. And so like I'm sitting there with my water and my banana, and the person walks by that's like supposed to have that seat. And they look at me like in the chair, like passed out, like pale, with my banana. And the person is like, "Oh, you can keep the seat. I'll just take your seat." And so they like go to my seat. And so I got sick, but I got to sit first class. Hey. And I remember, as bad as I felt, I was like, these seats are very cushy. I enjoy this.
I got a pillow and a blanket.
Heck yeah.
There are worse places to be. Specifically the back of the plane when you're feeling sick. So
it's true. Like that first class ride, it wasn't like the way I would have imagined a first class ride to be, but it was still a first class ride and it was fun. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This is my ultimate and my favorite ostomy story to tell.
Okay.
So this is a poop story.
Poop story. Ding ding ding.
So it's my sophomore year of college. I had an ostomy for a year and a half, I think. And it's finals. And I was like the last day of finals is when I had to stay through, which kind of sucked, but it meant that I was living in my sorority's house. It meant that like pretty much everyone was already home by the time that I had to end up leaving because I had a really late final. So that day, I really just wanted to feel super cute, but also it was December in Ohio, so it was really cold. But I was wearing like a black dress, and then I had 2 pairs of tights on because it was super freezing. I had like taken my final, which was kind of a long exam, and then I had like my brother picked me up because he was still around. He also went to undergrad at Ohio State, and so, he was around. He picked me up. We did some stuff. I met one of his friends, actually his fiance. That was the first day I met his fiance.
Really? Oh my
gosh. But they weren't together at the time, but I knew from that moment that they would be.
Yes.
But anyway, this reminds me of another story, but like this is the true this is the true beginnings of that. Anyway, so I'd been out for a long time, and again, I really had to pee. My brother
it always starts this way.
It really does. My brother drops me off at the sorority house, and I like ran up the stairs to go to the bathroom. Again, I was wearing 2 pairs of tights. So very enthusiastically, I ripped down my tights, and I also ripped off my ostomy bag in the process.
Oh, I don't think I've heard this story before.
Down it fell, and it splattered all over the stall and me.
No.
I was covered in actual poop.
No.
And this, mind you, was a communal bathroom.
Yes. Your sorority.
So,
oh my gosh.
It was one of those situations where, like, I peed, and then I stood up, and I just looked around, and I was like,
yes,
what do I do? How do I deal with this? I'm pretty sure I said some explicit words that I cannot say on this podcast.
Yes, no, I just imagine if that happened to me, just standing there, like blank face, just like thinking about
shock.
Yeah, just in shock, just like, what am I gonna do?
And so I'm in go mode. Like I throw the bag in the trash can, the little trash can that was next to the toilet. I took off all of my clothes, and then I had to very quietly try to clean the bathroom stall naked, hoping that no one would come in.
Wait, so do you still not have a bag on at this point either?
No.
Or you put a new bag on or not?
I think I emptied it, and then I put the old one back on because I was like, I'm gonna use shower anyway.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
The good thing was that my ostomy comes this is required background. My ostomy bag comes in 2 pieces. There's the part that sticks to me, and then the bag part. So the part that sticks to me was actually fine, which was good. Honestly best case scenario, because I just had to put the thing back on, so I didn't poop everywhere while I cleaned the stall, because I have no control over my bowel movements. Now that I have an ostomy, I don't have to think about actually pooping. So I had to I was really glad in that moment that I already had some cleaning supplies under the sink, the communal sink. So I just made best use of those. I threw my clothes in the shower. I ran into my room just praying that no one would see me because I didn't have a towel or anything.
Oh my god.
But the house was mostly empty, which worked in my favor. But I think someone did come in at one point, and I don't think they noticed. And I was just, after that happened, I just laid on my bed and stared at the ceiling. And I was like, what happened?
What happened?
So I refer to that as the sorority poop debacle.
Yeah. I'm sure most people with an ostomy have at least had one story similar to that. I mean, that's wild. I mean, it's a rare thing for that to happen, obviously, but I'm sure you're not alone, you know.
Yeah. It was,
oh my gosh.
It was really legendary though, because it
funny,
was
though.
Honestly, and not to be too graphic, rather explosive.
I think as bad as it was in the moment for you, it's one of those stories that's very funny to tell later.
It's so funny.
I hope our listeners got a kick out of naked Cassandra in the bathroom scrubbing your poo. I mean, let's just be real. That's very TMI.
It's so funny.
This next story actually is not funny, so you don't have to laugh. It's not very funny. It's just a very bad chronic health story that's kind of funny looking back. Okay, and it's in multiple parts. It's in here's the deal with this story. You think it's bad, but it gets worse. It's one of those. And it's my entire wisdom teeth journey.
Oh no.
So, having a bleeding disorder, we bleed a lot. Okay, this has blood. This story has bleeding and blood. So, when you get your wisdom teeth removed, it can be dangerous for a person with a bleeding disorder, especially getting all 4 removed at once. That's a lot of bleeding. Your mouth is a bleeding type of place. And so we wanted to do my wisdom teeth extraction, all 4 of them at once, in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And they gave me platelets beforehand. It took a long time. I was there way longer than I should have been because the platelets were late, and I have negative blood, so it was hard to match it. So it was just kind of a stressful morning in general, but okay, whatever. usually wisdom teeth extractions are done in the dentist office. They're not done at the hospital. So my dentist who came to do it, I guess, didn't have all of his tools there with him or something. So,
okay.
So, or like backup tools, I guess, is what I meant to say. So I get my wisdom teeth taken out, all 4. I'm in the recovery, and the man who did it comes in and he says, okay, like, it went pretty well. He says, my drill stopped working on your first tooth, so I had to get creative. So I had to, that part is funny. You can laugh at that. He had to get creative. And I was like kind of out of it and loopy.
Mean?
You know, I wish I knew. I still don't know what that means. I was out of it and loopy when he said it, and I was kind of like, okay, and he left the room, and then it hit me what he had really said. And I like imagine it now with like a knife and like a fork. Like anyway. So
hacking away at your mouth.
That was an interesting moment. He literally had to get creative. I don't know how he took them out, Cass. I don't know to this day how he took them out of me. But now a lot of people get dry sockets with wisdom teeth, which is basically a very painful experience when the hole, I'm not going to explain it perfectly. I'm not a dentist, but the hole where your tooth was taken gets like exposed to air and something like that. And it's like very, very painful. So anyway, I got dry sockets in all 4 teeth.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, I was, and I'm wondering if it's because of this man messing me up.
Being creative.
So I was vomiting. I was miserable, and it was a holiday weekend. So I was calling my dentist trying to get in, because what they do when you have dry sockets is they pack them. They like put stuff in the hole, like they pack it. And sorry if I'm not explaining this right, like I said, but it's they pack them to make them not hurt anymore. And I was in severe pain. I was miserable. And I called, and it was a holiday. My dentist was gone. It was like 4th of July. And so the like dental assistant said, I'm going to come in just for you and pack your dry sockets. I'm like, this is great. It wasn't great. Narrator, it wasn't great.
Oh no.
So we go in. I go with my dad this time. Hey dad, he's in the story.
Hey.
This time I go with my dad, and the lady literally is like unlocking the door, like turning on all the lights, like nobody's there. It's literally just us. And we go to the back, and she starts trying to pack all 4 of my dry sockets. She starts with one tooth, right? She's trying to pack it. She has this like metal rod, and she's jabbing it into the hole of my dry socket, trying to pack it, but she's not succeeding. And as she's doing this, I am, for lack of a better term, spewing blood everywhere. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, listeners. It was like Texas Chainsaw Massacre because I have a bleeding disorder. And so I was like, did you get it? Did you get it? And she's like, oh, just let me try one more time. Let me try one more thing. Let me keep trying. And she was not succeeding. My dad is a very like mild-mannered, like doesn't get angry person. Like he's like fairly soft-spoken. Like he can stand up for himself, but he's not like, my mom is the more fiery one in the relationship, you know?
Same with my parents.
And so the lady's like, let me keep trying. And I'm not kidding, Cass. Maybe 20 minutes this had gone on, okay? And she's still on the first tooth. And my dad finally he doesn't yell at her, but he kind of goes, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I was bleeding a lot. Anyway, I got in the car after that whole, quite frankly, kind of traumatic moment. And I said to my dad, I was like, I feel so much worse than I even did before we came here. To fix this issue.
That's really
so anyway,
sad.
It was very bad. And for anyone getting wisdom teeth extracted, I don't want to completely freak you out. I'm sure it will not be a situation where the man uses a fork and a knife to remove your wisdom teeth and messes you up. And then it's a holiday weekend and some untrained girl is trying to put in your, it was just a series of unfortunate events, one after the other.
Wow.
But hey, it makes a good story.
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of.
How did that get resolved though? Like,
they just had to heal on their own. I can't remember if I ever ended up. I might have ended up going back in after the dentist actually like opened back up and my dentist was back. I might have gone back in. I don't remember actually because this was like 11 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was so bad. I've kind of like, I was so out of it and in pain during a lot of it that I don't remember the whole thing. But
wow. Yeah, I feel like when I've heard about people getting dry sockets, they talk about like what, clover?
Yes, that was what
oil?
she was doing.
Yeah,
That's what she was putting like clover in there, I think.
Yeah,
I think that's what she was trying to do, but it like
helps,
wasn't going in. Like it was like falling out, and she kept. But it was like with one of those metal things that she was like putting it in. Like
no.
I know how disturbing this is. I'm so sorry, listeners.
I will
that you had to
put
hear
our
that.
listeners at ease that I, with a bleeding disorder, I've had a fun and weird time with my teeth. This is not a story I was actually planning on telling, but it's relevant now. I had this canine that just, TLDR did not want to leave my mouth. And so when I got my wisdom teeth removed, they also removed this canine that was still in my gum. So I got 5 pieces removed. And I actually recovered really, really well. So I want to put our listeners at ease that it's not always a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a Tennessee Chainsaw Massacre.
Tennessee Chainsaw Massacre.
To get your wisdom teeth removed. I iced the living crap out of it and it actually ended up going down with like fairly minimal bruising for me, but not everyone is so fortunate, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah, well, I actually feel like guilty telling our listeners that story because I feel like I just really grossed everybody out. But like, hey, we ended with a bang, like spewing blood and poop.
Wow. Yeah,
we ended
man.
with quite a bang. And actually, it was kind of funnier than I thought it would be. Like,
hey, you made it funny though.
Okay,
you could have made it really dramatic and sad, but it wasn't. It was funny.
Enough time has passed, like I was
true.
18. It was a long time ago. It was the summer before college. So,
dang.
But I mean, I think we have so many more we could share. We could even do a part 2 if the listeners like this episode.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh, there's many.
I even remembered other ones when you were telling yours. I mean, we have so many, like, things that have happened.
Yeah,
but,
and if you don't mind poop content, I have, like, so many ostomy fails. Because this year, in a few months, this year will be 7 years that I've had an ostomy.
I can't believe that.
Unbelievable. But, But, like, I have lots of content to go off of.
Absolutely. No, I mean, like, between all of our health issues, I mean, we could go through each part of our body, like our hand, our foot, our neck, and probably think of a story for every single one. Like, no lie. It's wild. But yeah, like,
if you like the story format at all, like, I'm sure that we could come, I mean, I could tell endless stories about strange interactions with guide dog things. I could tell like awkward rideshare stories like for days. Like we could tell these kinds.
If you hear snorting in the background, that's my dog, not me, by the way. People, sorry. He's like snorting behind me.
My dog is also snoring because she's sleepy.
No, but yeah, the story format is fun. I mean, I think like I love like our conversational banter, but I think like stories are fun. A story time episode is fun too every once in a while. So
I think so too.
If you guys liked the story format, chronic illness stuff, or otherwise, message us. This is a perfect time to get into some housekeeping notes about how to contact us.
What a good segue!
I know. Wow, I love it when the segues just fall into our laps. It's pretty amazing. Now he's squeaking a toy. I love him so much behind me.
Baby boy.
But as some of you, most of you, maybe all of you know, we are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Rare with Flair at most of them, or on Instagram, rare.with.flair. So please follow us. We also have a website, rarewithflair.org, and our email.
.com.
Why did I say org? We're definitely not an org. I'm so sorry. We have our
I don't know
nonprofit.
what's at rarewithflair.org. Maybe nothing, but
I'm so sorry. Rarewithflair.com. What is wrong with me?
Good,
also, our hello at rarewithflair.com email address.
Yes, for
So,
any
email.
inquiries.
Inquiries, questions, comments, concerns.
Yes.
Let us know. And then also, you can rate and review us. It's cool.
I was just gonna get there.
Yeah, you want to talk about it? Tell them.
Sure. So, first of all, Spotify, we talked about this recently. Spotify just now allows people to rate podcasts. I don't know why people could not rate podcasts before this, but please, it's, you can't leave a review, but you can just give like a star rating. So if you like what you hear, give us a rating on Spotify. And then Apple Podcasts, where we have most of the ratings and lots of reviews, thanks to all of you. Please give us ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts. Way back when, now we're on episode 40, which is wild.
Can't believe it.
When we started, we had issued an incentive to the listeners.
We did.
To give us 100 reviews on Apple Podcasts. We still have not hit that, probably because it's actually surprisingly difficult to get that many reviews on Apple Podcasts, and we didn't know that when we made that goal.
We had no idea. So I believe we're at 70 reviews, which is actually great, and it's actually I think
so
above
many.
average even. I mean, obviously I'm not comparing it to like the big names like celebrities who have podcasts, but actually 70 for like an average podcast like us is actually really good. And so like maybe our goal was way too lofty, sorry about it, but maybe by the time we get to episode like 240 we'll have 100 reviews and you can hear the dog voice.
Right. Actually, I never said what the incentive was, but Casey has this amazing, miraculous voice that she speaks to her dog Rupert in, and I want everyone to hear it, but only if we get 100 reviews. And we're going to stick by that, even though it might have been lofty.
We are going to stick by it, and like we're not giving up hope. Like, please, still help us if you haven't done it. If you haven't done so yet, like, you can still help us. Even, like, we're not saying it's an impossible goal, especially if everybody pitches in to help.
We believe in our listeners. It can be very, very short, and you can just say that you, like, enjoy the podcast or something that you like about it. Don't have to write a novel, but we'd appreciate it, and I think you guys will like Casey's dog voice.
Yes, and obviously not every review has to be a good review, but we hope that you say something nice and give it 4 or 5 or hopefully 5 stars. I mean, if you've gotten this far in this episode, we think you might like the show, I guess. I don't know. Maybe
I hope so.
Maybe not, but
maybe you're just here for the tea, and frankly, I don't blame you.
I don't blame you. We sure have some tea, and we spilled it. We spilled the tea, the blood, the poop. We spilled it all. We spilled it all.
Oh, man. But thank you guys.
I think that's it. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening to those stories. And if you made it this far, thank you for sticking through. And yeah.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.